it's Jamie from Not So Wimpy Teacher, and I want to wish you a happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I know Teacher Appreciation Day was a little bit earlier this week, and I really appreciate teachers. I grew up appreciating teachers. My grandmother was a kindergarten teacher. My aunt was a kindergarten teacher. I have another aunt who was a high school teacher. I grew up with teachers, and I've always had such a deep respect for teachers, even though I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. After I did give into the reality that I was meant to be a teacher, I discovered just how hard teaching is. There's so many things people don't understand. When I'm just going to get my hair done and I would tell my hairdresser that I had to buy books and a bookcase and lesson plans for my classroom, she's like, "What? Don't schools just give you that stuff?" And it's that realization that outside of education, they have no idea how much you do every single day, every single week for your students. And so I just want to say thank you. If no one else has thanked you this week, I want to be the person who does, but I hope that I am not the first person to thank you this week. Now, I want to chat with you about something that I think is really important. And the thing is, a lot of people aren't going to thank us and point out all the great things we're doing. And that can get really heavy sometimes. And also, we are big critics of ourselves. If we're to be honest, we are such big critics. We're always criticizing how a lesson went, how prepared we are, how organized our classroom is, or how pretty our classroom is. And so we give ourselves a hard time. We might be getting a hard time from others outside of our classroom even. And this can bring us down. And it can make us feel overwhelmed. And to be real honest with you, it could be part of the reason that you stop being in love with being a teacher. And I just can't have that. Like, I need you to love being a teacher because you're an amazing teacher. So I want to talk to you about making a deposit in your accomplishment bank. This is something I learned from my coach, Neil Williams. And I just want to share the concept with you because it's something I have been doing every week. Neil recommended doing it at the end of the year, but I realized, no, I can't wait till the end of the year. I have to do it every week. And you know what? You might even have to do it every day if you're really struggling with the activity. So here's the thing. We're always telling ourselves what we did wrong, what we didn't get finished, what didn't go well. We spend so little time celebrating the things that really went well. When we take a little more time to celebrate these things that went well, then we are encouraging our brain to show up and have that same success again. We have to make a deposit, though, into our accomplishment bank. We have to tell our brain what went well. Because our brain, it's trying to convince us, you didn't do enough, you aren't enough. And we have to change the conversation in our brain. And I think the accomplishment bank activity does that. So what I'm suggesting is grab a pretty notebook. If you're a real digital person, then by all means use an app, a digital notebook. But I just love using a paper notebook for this. Grab a pretty journal or a notepad and your favorite pen. I like the Flair scented pens personally. And every Friday, I would like for you to schedule 10 minutes for this activity. I like to do it right before I go home at the end of the week because by Monday, I'm going to forget. And that's the thing, we forget about all our accomplishments. That's crazy. So I'd love for you to schedule this on Friday afternoon. After your students have gone home, as you're preparing to go home, maybe you're getting ready to pack up and go home, I want you to take just 10 minutes to do this. It's so important. I want you to write down in this notebook everything that went well this week. All of your wins. And there is no win that is too small. Give yourself permission to write anything down. No one's going to look at it. It's not going to be graded by somebody else. So write everything that comes to your brain. And at first, your brain's going to say, nothing went well this week. You didn't finish your to-do list. You didn't finish your grading. You were late to a meeting and one of your kiddos had a rough behavior day. You know, all these things are going to pop up. So you have to keep telling your brain, no, things went well. So I'm going to give you some examples. Things that you might think about, like, did you leave on time? That's a win. Did you leave at the time you decided you were going to leave at? Maybe it's your contracted time. Maybe it's the time you decide at. Like, I leave at 4. Did you leave at 4? If you did, write it down. That's a win. Did you go home and not bring a whole bunch of grading with you? That's a win. Even if you brought grading with you, if you didn't get it out while you're at home, instead of counting that as like, I didn't finish my grading, I want you to write down, I prioritized my personal life over teaching. I want you to write that down as a win. I want you to think about the lessons that you delivered during the week. Yes, I'm sure you can think of the 1 or 2 lessons that didn't go well. And you can make a big deal of those 1 or 2 lessons, but you taught a lot of lessons this week. Did one go exceptionally well? Did you see your students lighting up, understanding what you were teaching? Write down how that lesson went well. Did you come prepared for your lessons? Write that down. Did you get your lesson plans turned in on time? Did you show up to that IEP meeting on time? Great, write it down. Those are wins, and no one else is going to celebrate those wins for you. You have to make that deposit, and every time you make a deposit, that bank, it's getting full. It's your brain getting full and understanding that it needs to celebrate you and your success, you and your wins. So I want you to really, really focus on that this week, next week, just going forward. Schedule 10 minutes to make a deposit in your accomplishment bank. What did you accomplish this week? Don't you dare write down anything that you think didn't go well. I want you to prove to yourself that more went right than went wrong. Will you do that for me? Will you make this a habit? It just will change the way you see your job and yourself. All right. Happy Teacher Appreciation. Thanks for all you do. Have a not so wimpy weekend.